I'm here with Saraya. How are you doing today? Welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been quite a busy day today. I have a bunch of
Mhm.
media, which is super fun. It works out well because I live out here in California, so
Right.
right on my doorstep.
Well, so that goes to my first question, actually. As someone who's traveled all over the world, AEW will be having three events here in Los Angeles in the coming weeks. But I'm just curious, what maybe sets LA apart or California apart in general from some of the other places you've been and have had wrestling matches in?
Yeah. I'm good, Adam. Thank you. But yeah, I love California because I said this earlier in another interview, but they're very
Mhm.
forgiving. So like they're very just like they're there to enjoy the show and just have fun, and they don't criticize you. They boo the bad guys, cheer the good guys, like the way it's supposed to be. And they're loud the whole time. And it's a really fun environment and energy to be in. Like I love getting in front of the crowds out here. They're a good time.
Okay, so that maybe raises the question here. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. What is probably one of the more critical crowds
Oh,
that you go ahead.
Oh, that's easy. Usually on the East Coast, and I'm talking
Hmm.
about New York, New
Yep.
Jersey. They could be a
Okay.
little hard. Like back in my WWE days, like a
Hmm.
lot of us would dread going on these shows because they would do the
Okay.
wave or they would just not have a good time with us. But I mean, they've got a lot better now over there, but I haven't forgiven them since those days. So yeah, they could be a little harsh, I feel like, towards women's wrestling mostly. So yeah, that's one of the crowds.
And if I'm not
Florida, though,
mistaken,
Florida's a good time. Florida is a good time. It's just
okay.
going up north a little bit. There's
Uh,
mother
speaking of New York, I believe was your AEW debut in New York?
at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
How looking back at that, it's been a little. I was watching the video prior to this. It's been a little over a year now.
yeah.
What were your thoughts on the reaction? Just you coming out. What was that like for
Yeah.
you being in a different company?
It was first of all, I was terrified, and it was one year that I got cleared on Halloween actually. So it's been
Mm,
over a year
okay,
that
there
I've
you go.
officially got the clearance, and then nearly a year since my first match. But yeah, it was terrifying. I thought that people like would have forgot me by now. I don't know. I just like my biggest critic, and I've just been
Hmm.
out for so long that I'm like, would people even enjoy me being back? Like, I don't understand. But the pop was insane. And
Hmm.
like just being smuggled into that building because no one backstage knew I was there either. And so
Right.
like they had to put something over my head and like rush me through to like this
Hmm.
closet, by the way, that was right next to where Gorilla is, but like right in a closet, and like I had to stay in there. And at the time there was no toilet, and, and then so I'm like, what am I in there for hours? But I was terrified, and the girls came in like very last minute before they were supposed to walk out for their segment, and they were all just like, "What the?" I'm like, "I know,
Okay.
surprise, hello." So yeah, they got told very last minute, and
Wow.
everyone backstage had no idea, apart from obviously like some office people. But I told Tony before, I was just like, I just want this to be a huge secret. Like, I don't want it to get spilled onto the internet. I don't want the dirt sheets
Hmm.
to get a hold of it. Like, I just want it to be like a surprise. And it worked out because the crowd went absolutely ballistic, absolutely bananas, and they were so loud. It was bonkers.
And that's pretty hard to do, right? Just because
Mhm.
there's between the dirt sheet, social media, and everyone else who's there at the
Yeah.
arena who may get an eye on you, it's hard to kind of pull something off like that, right?
Yeah, well, we limited who we told. So the
Mhm.
people that knew was me, obviously my boyfriend, the people that I was there with, my makeup artist and my assistant, Lizzie. But there was also Renee, my best friend right
Mhm.
there, Renee Young. And then obviously Mox, her hubby, and then Chris Jericho, and then Tony. And there was like two security guards and Daryl that was part of production that smuggled me in. But it was like that was very last minute for them. But yeah, like the just those were the wrestlers, and that was my crew, and that was it. No one else knew a thing. So
You you
I
named
just
quite a
yeah.
okay.
So
You named quite a few WWE talent there during your
mhm.
last answer, and it brings a question I had for you. Talk me through the moment you had in the ring. I believe it was before a show where you had Adam Copeland on one end, Brian Danielson on the other end, and you're in the middle. And it's something I've thought about too, especially after Adam joined. I was like, wow, like all three of them had, were told they probably were never going to wrestle again. And it made me so happy to see you tweet and have that moment with those two guys. What was that moment like for you, and how did it all kind of come together for you?
Yeah, so I was just like, it was before the show, before doors opened and stuff, and people go by the ring to chat, catch up, and all
Hmm.
that kind of things. And I was just sitting there with my girl Ruby, and
Hmm.
I look behind, and then there's like, Brian, and then there's Adam, and I'm just like, this is so cool. Like, I'm looking at them just being like, none of us were even supposed to be in this, at this point in this environment. Like, we weren't supposed to be doing what we're doing right now, and we're all about to be on a show where we're all wrestling. And I just think that was a really magical, like, it just made me very grateful. I just got like chills, and I was like, man, I just feel really grateful for where I am. And so I went up to Adam and I was like, isn't this bloody bonkers? And he was just like, oh yeah. He was like, look at us, beautiful. And I was like, I know. And then I got Brian, and then Brian made the joke of like, you put all of our necks together, it doesn't make one perfect neck. It's just so goofy. And I was just like, you're right. But Adam was like, we should get a picture together. And I was like, yeah, I was gonna ask for one anyway, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a super fan, but I was gonna ask. And so I was just like, perfect. Can I have that photo too? But yeah, so we got the photo together, and it was just really magical. And obviously, I'm not forgetting about Christian and stuff. I know
Right.
he
Yeah.
had a hard time getting back in the ring again, but we don't want to mess up any stories either. So
Right.
like we
Right.
just kept it to us three. And it was just, I love that photo so much. And I'm just like so proud of every single one of us. We're in a very elite club, and I love it. You have these three Christians, Stone Cold, just
Yeah.
like very like, or I'm in a very good group of people.
It is. It's a pretty
Roddy, I guess.
yeah, 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 right,
Like
right.
Grace.
With what he has going on. Um
Yeah.
and you mentioned Adam and then Christian there. What makes wrestling so special, and the ability that you guys have to have such long-term storytelling the way someone like Adam and Christian have?
Yeah, like what makes it special, you mean?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
like, I mean, it can differ between people, but like once you have a certain person that you can work with that is not working against you, is working with you, I feel like that's the most important thing. And like person that has no ego about them, that just wants the best for the company and the story and anything going forward, that's what makes it extra special. And they have like this beautiful friendship for
Yeah.
decades. Like they've been best
Hmm.
friends for decades, like brothers. So they're always around each other and always texting and stuff. And I feel like that could be very helpful too, is that they know each other very well and they know each other like the back of their hands, so
Yeah.
they can think of like the thing, like of things for each other without even a second guess.
Right.
Where it's a little bit difficult if you're working with someone new where you have to learn them, from scratch, and you're just like, okay, like I know you do this, and I know your character is like kind of like this, and you kind of just have to like brainstorm a little bit more. But they just have that wonderful thing where they're just been besties for decades. I wish I could do that with Renee. I wish she wrestled so I can, have that thing.
Has there ever been any sort of convincing or talk of training to get her in the ring at some point?
I've always tried to, and I feel like she would be such a good, like, good guy, like baby
Hmm.
face.
Yeah.
People
Right.
love her, and like
Yes.
even that little bit that she did with one of the girls, I think it was Jade maybe or whatever, but
Hmm.
she got in her face in the corner, and the crowd were just pissed. And
Yeah.
then MJF did something to her, he like slapped the mic out of
Hmm.
her hand or something like that, and the crowd were pissed. And I'm like, I keep telling her for so long. I was like, listen, just get in the ring. Me and you could wrestle each other, and it would be magic.
Awesome. And speaking of which, who are some of the women on the roster that you maybe have had a long friendship with and are able to have that same kind of chemistry, whether it's maybe Tony or Ruby or anybody
Yeah.
else?
So I have that with Tony and Ruby, absolutely, because I've
Hmm.
known them since the last company into this company. I've known them for like many years, and we're having so much fun with what we do because we're having fun with each other. Like we
Right.
love each other. Like they're my favorite people when I go to work, and just if we buy each other stuff like wrestling gear or just shoes or whatever. Like Tony the other day just bought Ruby over a necklace, and it was just really, really sweet. And it's just we're always just thinking about each other like that, even outside of the wrestling world. So like having them on my side is really wonderful. I like doing stuff with Brit, even though she's a bitch. I
Oh,
like doing
okay.
stuff with her because, you know, she's always brainstorming, and
Hmm.
again, she always wants what's best for the story and all that kind of stuff. But you know what's really like exciting for me is that, you know, a lot of these women I don't have, you know, a
Right.
history with, and I get to do something brand new. So I want to get in the ring with like, you know, a Nyla or a Chris
Hmm.
Statlander, or, you know, and just have some fun and just like have to think. That's what I like. They
Um,
challenge me.
Gotcha. A few more questions for you. I'll try not to
Yeah.
keep you too long. Just looking at your career overall, whether it's WWE, AEW, or anything before that, what has maybe been some of the biggest advice you've been given throughout your career, or
I
the
always
best
repeat.
advice?
Yeah, I always repeat what Dwayne says to me because he really does have the best advice, and it might
Hmm.
sound cheesy and cliche for me to keep saying it because, you know, he did do the movie of my life. But no, what he says is true. He says stay humble and hungry. Humble because you want people to be able to work with you and be happy about it, and then
Hmm.
to stay hungry because you don't want to get complacent. You always want to set goals, you know, and never let them fester, like keep continuing, have that energy throughout. But I also would like to add to that to have patience because, you know, not everything comes overnight and not everything is going to be given to you. And, you know, and you're going to be put in like, you know, storylines or whatever where you're not 100% happy, but you have to have the patience to know that it will pay off. And so, and then outside of that as well, for personal, is to save money because
Yeah.
save your money because,
Yes.
you know, once you start getting in you know, these big companies where you are starting to earn a little bit of money, it's just smart if you put some aside because when you get money it starts burning a hole in your pocket, and then you want to
Hmm.
like, what can I buy, what can I spend?
Yeah.
And of course I'm not telling you not to do that, like of course
Right.
you can treat yourself, and I'm just saying just be smart and at least put some to the side. Every paycheck, put a little bit to the side.
Two more questions here for you. Just talk to me a little bit about the healthy competition now with AEW a few years in, and obviously WWE being around for as long as I have. You've had Jade go over to WWE, you've had
Yeah,
Adam come over to AEW. Just tell me about the healthy competition there is now again with the wrestling industry.
I love it. The only people that really like are very passionate and angry about it
Yeah.
is like some of the online wrestling community.
Hmm.
But I would like to tell them like everybody is just genuinely happy for each other in both companies. Like we're all
Yeah.
friends. None of us are like against each other, you know, personally or even like company wise. We're not like in a competition like that. We're genuinely just so happy that there is another space for people to be able to go earn the money that they should be earning, get the exposure they should be doing, you know, the exposure they should be getting, and just being able to thrive and instead of relying on one company. And so
Right.
like it's really really cool, and it's really cool to catch up and see what the other girls and guys are doing in the other company, and just it's just a beautiful time for wrestling fans in general. And that's why I get confused about why they are so competitive on the internet sometimes. So I'm just like, nearly every day of the week you have a wrestling show. Like we're in a time
Yes.
where there's more wrestling than there's ever been, you
Hmm.
know, that people like you can watch, you know, WWE, AEW, even New Japan, you know, like just
Yeah.
all these companies and CMLL, you know, just all these
Hmm.
companies that you can just enjoy, and you just always have a wrestling match on. I feel like that's so wonderful.
And at this point, I mean, between all those shows, there is just about something for everybody there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll get you out of here on this question. For me personally, I love Twitter. I love everything about it. I love seeing you kind of pop up on my timeline
I get a little
every
crazy.
so often. Get a little crazy, you know, being a little bold, being a little out there. Not afraid to clap back at the internet community when it is deserved. Tell me about it. Tell me about your experience
Yeah.
on Twitter.
So right now, like I mean, I'm a heel, so I like to lean into
Hmm.
it a little bit extra. But also, like I'm on a Twitter break right now, so I took it off my
Okay.
phone for 2 weeks, you know, just so I can have
Wow.
like a little
Okay.
mental clarity. I do that sometimes, but when,
Hmm.
you know, when I'm
You
back
have
home, I
to.
start going off. But
Mhm.
like I just people always say like be the bigger person. I'm like, no, I don't want to be the bigger person. Do you know why?
Yeah.
It's because I have hundreds of these people saying this crap to me every single day,
Hmm.
and they don't ever have to experience it, right? Or they do
Yeah.
experience it in a tiny, tiny fraction. So the fact that people get mad when I clap back like I'm a bully, I'm just like, no, this person bullied me
Right.
and I'm returning the energy, and now they're going to feel how I feel every day. Because like I'm not asking any of my fans to clap back at them. I'm not asking them to respond to them. I'm responding to them as Saraya. Like, who the hell do you
Hmm.
think you are punching up at me? Because I'm 100% going to punch down. I'm not one of those people that will like that will just take it. Like, and some days I don't want to take it. And some days I feel like I don't deserve that. Like, if I'm posting something that's really positive and someone wants to just be absolutely vile about it, I'm like, all right, well, now you've opened the gates of hell, and I'm about to fire down on you. But yeah, so I just feel like, and I want people to know that, like, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself either. Like,
Hmm.
I don't cower away from that stuff. And I'm like, bring that same energy if you see me in person, because I would bring that same energy to you. I'm like, I'm not afraid to speak up. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. It can get me into trouble sometimes. And, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care. I do it for a reason. I'm not doing it just to
Hmm.
start something. I never start something. It's how my family are. They don't start things, but my dad says to always finish it. So if you're coming at me, I'm gonna finish it. Deal.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we could see you and several of the other wrestlers. Or okay, other question. Do you go? Where's the debate on sports entertainer, wrestler? Where do you stand on that?
Oh, I don't care either way. I don't
Okay.
care. You can call me whatever bitch. You can call me whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Well,
it's fun. Yeah.
well,
I know some people like prefer to be called sports
yes.
entertainer, but I feel
Right.
like that's on more of the like a publicly traded company thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but when it comes to, we call each other wrestlers. We're not like, hey, I'm a sports entertainer.
Right.
Wrestlers call each other wrestlers. It's fine.
Awesome. Well, we can find you and a lot of the other AEW wrestlers over the
Mm-hmm.
next couple of weeks, starting with Wednesday, November 15th at AEW in Ontario, and then back-to-back shows November 17th and 18th. You guys will be at the Forum in LA. Thank you so much for your time. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank